Somewhere in the distance, a clock marks another hour. But here, time moves differently, measured in tasks completed, in the steady pull of routine. Tonight, we follow someone through the late hours of the smelting shed in Irontown. Settle into the stillness. Let your bed hold you softly. Let your thoughts grow quiet and distant. Let the last of your effort melt away. This is canon and calm. Let us begin. The embers within the great furnace glow with a persistent low intensity, casting a soft amber hue across the timber beams. It is the quietest hour in Irontown, when the heat from the previous day's pour still radiates from the earth floor. The soot clinging to the rafters absorbs the light, creating a sanctuary of muted tones and long-reaching shadows. Outside, the mountain remains shrouded in a thick mist that presses against the wooden fortifications. The watchmen on the ramparts move with a slow, deliberate gait, their footsteps barely audible over the distant rush of the waterfall. Within the smelting shed, the atmosphere is thick with the scent of charcoal and the metallic tang of cooling iron. I reach for the long wooden shovel, its handle worn smooth by countless hours of labor. The grain of the wood feels cool against my palms, a sharp contrast to the radiant warmth of the brickwork. Each movement is measured as I begin to clear the stray ash from the perimeter of the central pit. The scraping of the blade against the stone creates a dry, rasping note that echoes softly in the high ceiling. This is the time for preparation, before the great bellows are manned by the women. The giant wooden pedals of the Tatara sit idle, now like sleeping giants, waiting for the weight of 20 pairs of feet to bring them to life. I walk along the raised walkway, checking the tension of the thick hempen ropes that suspend the mechanism. Each cord is taut and reliable, smelling of salt and earth. The pulleys are silent, their iron axles well greased with animal fat to prevent the screeching that would otherwise pierce the morning calm. Below, the sand is piled in neat mounds, black and shimmering like the skin of a deep-sea creature brought to the surface. This iron sand was gathered from the riverbeds, downstream a gift from the mountains that we process with such care. I run my fingers through the top layer of a pile, feeling the grit and the weight of the minerals. It is cold now, but soon it will be transformed into the liquid fire that sustains our walls and our people. Lady Eboshi has high expectations for this week's yield as the demand for new tools and defenses grows. The forest beyond our gates is never truly still, and the tension between the wood and the iron is a palpable thing. Even in the dimness of the shed, one can feel the eyes of the mountain gods watching the smoke rise from our chimneys. I move to the water barrel and dip a wooden ladle into the clear liquid. The water is icy, drawn from the deep well near, the garden where the sick find their respite. I take a slow sip, letting the coldness wake my senses as the first hint of grey light touches the paper windows of the upper floor. There is a certain peace in this solitude, a chance to reflect on the scale of our work and the cost of our progress. The smelting shed is more than a factory. It is the heart of our defiance against a world that would see us scattered. Every brick and every beam has been placed with the intent of endurance. I begin to lay the kindling for the day's first firing, using dried cedar strips that catch the light like gold. The wood is brittle, snapping with a crisp tone as I break it into smaller pieces. I arrange them in a precise lattice, ensuring the airflow will be sufficient once the bellows start their steady pulse. This measure of work is what keeps the mind steady and the hands sure. I look up at the balcony, where the guards stand, their silhouettes sharp against the fading stars. They are silent watchers of the night, ensuring that our labor can continue without interruption from the shadows of the trees. To the north, the great furnace chimney looms a stone monument to human ingenuity and toil. It has stood through storms and sieges, its surface scarred by heat and time, yet it remains unshaken. I place a hand against its base, feeling the faint thrum of the cooling stone as it breathes with the earth. In the corner, the large clay crucibles are lined up, waiting to be filled with the molten harvest. They are thick-walled and sturdy, crafted by the potters in the lower district with clay from the western cliffs. Each one is a vessel of potential, soon to hold the white-hot liquid that will become our strength. I find a small piece of slag on the floor, a glassy remnant of yesterday's effort, and turn it over in my palm. It is smooth and dark, reflecting the orange glow of the embers like a piece of obsidian. I tuck it into my belt, a small reminder of the cycle we are all a part of here in the heart of the mountain. The mist outside is starting to lift, revealing the jagged peaks that surround our valley like the teeth of a great beast. The light is changing, shifting from the deep blues of the evening to a pale lavender that washes over the rooftops. It won't be long now before the first bell rings, calling the workers to their stations. I take a moment to sit on the edge of the Tatara platform, letting my legs dangle over the side. The wood is warm beneath me, holding the residual energy of the 1,000 fires that have burned in this hall. I close my eyes and listen to the settling of the structure, the way the timber groans as it adjusts to the shift in temperature. The smell of breakfast fires begins to drift through the air, mixing with the scent of the damp earth and the iron. It is a comforting aroma, a sign that the town is waking and that the day's work is about to begin in earnest. I can hear the distant clatter of ceramic bowls and the murmur of voices from the barracks. Our lives are defined by this cadence of heat and cold, of labor and rest under the watchful eye of Lady Eboshi. We are the makers of a new era carving, a place for ourselves in a landscape that is both beautiful and unforgiving. Every bar of iron we produce is a testament to our will to survive. I stand and brush the dust from my apron, feeling the familiar ache in my shoulders that comes with the end of a watch. The furnace is ready. The tools are in place, and the iron sand is waiting for the touch of the flame. The first workers are appearing at the door, their faces tired but resolute in the growing dawn. As they enter the shed, the silence of the evening is replaced by the low hum of conversation and the shuffle of feet on the wooden floor. I hand the shovel to my successor, a young man with soot-stained cheeks and a steady gaze. He nods in greeting, and I step aside, watching as the first of the women take their places on the bellows. The wooden planks of the upper walkway groan under the weight of my boots. I move toward the western ledge, where the charcoal is stacked in neat, uniform rows. Each piece of fuel is a remnant of the forest beyond our walls, charred and blackened, to serve the furnace. It feels cool to the touch now, but soon it will glow with a fierce white heat that rivals the sun. I count 42 baskets, ready for the morning, their woven edges frayed from constant use. The smell of pine and oak still clings to the wood, a faint ghost of the woods we have cleared. This landscape has changed so much since the first fires were lit, and the hills have grown quiet in our wake. We take what we need to forge a future for those who have nowhere else to go. The atmosphere is cool near the vents, where the morning breeze finds its way inside. It carries the scent of damp cedar and the sharp metallic tang of the forge down by the river. I lean against the railing, looking down at the great bellows, their leather hides stretched tight over the frames. They look like the lungs of some immense creature waiting for the signal to breathe life into the fire. In the corner, a small ceramic jar of oil sits beside the hinges of the main gate. I dip a rag into the liquid and begin to wipe the metal, ensuring the movement is smooth and silent. The oil is thick and amber, catching the dim lavender light that spills through the high windows. It is a small task, but every detail matters when the safety of the town is at stake. I think of the iron sand we gathered yesterday from the riverbed downstream. It is fine and dark, like the soil of a mountain garden, yet laden with the strength of the earth. We spent 6 hours standing in the cold water, our fingers numb as we sifted the grain from the silt. It is a slow process requiring patience and a steady hand to find the treasure hidden in the mud. Lady Eboshi says that the iron is our freedom, a shield against the gods who would see us destroyed. I have seen the way she looks at the furnace with a gaze that is both fierce and protective. She has built a sanctuary here for the outcasts and the broken, and we in turn give her our labor and our loyalty. The forge is the heart of this sanctuary, and we are the ones who keep it beating. I move to the sharpening stone where a row of iron chisels is laid out for inspection. I pick up the first one, feeling the weight of the metal in my palm and the rough texture of the handle. It is slightly dull from yesterday's work, so I begin to draw it across the stone with a slow, measured motion. The tone of the metal against the rock is a low, scraping melody that fills the quiet shed. A thin layer of water keeps the stone cool as I work, creating a grey slurry that drips onto the floor. I repeat the movement 24 times for each tool until the edges are keen and bright. My arms ache with a familiar fatigue, but there is a satisfaction in the work, a sense of purpose that comes with being useful. In this place, everyone has a role, and every role is vital to our survival. The light is growing stronger, now turning the grey shadows into shades of blue and gold. I can see the dust dancing in the beams of light like tiny stars caught in the rafters. The shed is waking up as more workers arrive. Their voices a low murmur that blends with the creak of the wood. The quiet hours are coming to an end, and the day's labor is about to begin in earnest. I watch as the women take their positions on the bellows, their faces set in expressions of quiet determination. They work in pairs, their movements synchronized as they pump the handles with a steady pace. It is a demanding task, requiring strength and endurance, but they never complain or falter. They are the ones who provide the breath of life to the furnace, and we all depend on them. The heat from the embers is starting to rise, warming the atmosphere in the center of the shed. I can feel it on my face, a gentle glow that promises the fire to come. The iron sand is being poured into the furnace, a dark stream that disappears into the belly of the beast. Soon it will be transformed by the flame into the liquid gold that we seek. I walk to the water barrel and take a long drink. The liquid cool and refreshing against my throat. It tastes of the mountain springs pure and clean, a stark contrast to the heat and the soot of the forge. I splash some on my face, washing away the fatigue of the watch and the dust of the floor. It is a small ritual that marks the transition from the night to the day. The first of the iron bars from the previous smelting are being moved to the storage area. They are dense and grey, with a rough exterior that hides the strength within. Each one is marked with the seal of Irontown, a symbol of our pride and our defiance. We are the makers of our own destiny, and these bars are the foundation upon which we build it. I find a quiet spot near the high window and look out at the valley below. The mist has almost disappeared, leaving the forest in a coat of deep emerald green. It is a beautiful sight, but I know the dangers that lurk beneath the canopy, the spirits and the beasts who watch us with eyes of fire. We are at war with the forest, and every day is a struggle for dominance. Yet there is a certain peace in this moment, a stillness before the storm of activity that the day will bring. I listen to the distant call of a hawk soaring high above the peaks, its cry a lonely sound in the vast sky. It reminds me that we are but a small part of a much larger story, a flicker of light in the face of the ages. Our work is humble, but it is our own, and that is enough. I see a small spider weaving its web in the corner of the window frame, its movements delicate and precise. It is a master of its craft, building a structure of beauty and utility from its own substance. I watch it for a moment, admiring its focus and its skill. We are not so different from this tiny creature spinning our own webs of iron and stone. The first bell of the morning rings out, a clear, sharp tone that echoes through the shed. It is the signal for the first shift to begin, and the town to wake up in full. I can hear the sound of doors opening and the chatter of children in the streets. The day has arrived, and with it the hope of a new beginning and the promise of more work to be done. I prepare to leave the shed, my task for the watch completed and my mind at rest. I hand my rag and the oil jar to the next worker, a woman with a kind smile and a steady hand. She nods in thanks, and I step out into the morning light, feeling the warmth of the sun on my skin. The air is fresh and cool, and the world is full of possibility. As I walk toward the barracks, I look back at the smelting shed, its roof smoking in the early light. It is a place of labor and of fire, but it is also a place of community and of strength. We are the people of Irontown, and we will continue to forge our way through the murk and the flame. The journey is long, but we walk it together, one step at a time. The path ahead is clear, and the shadows of the quiet hours are fading into the brilliance of the morning. I feel the weight of the day lifting, replaced by a sense of accomplishment and a quiet resolve. Tomorrow we will do it all again, and the cycle will continue as long as the iron flows and the fires burn. For now there is rest and the simple pleasure of a job well done as the village begins its daily measure. The transition from the intense heat of the forge to the relative coolness of the storage wing is a welcome change. I place my hand upon the rough timber of the door frame, feeling the grain of the wood beneath my fingertips. The wood is seasoned by the smoke of 1,000 fires, giving it a character that only time can provide. Inside, the atmosphere is subdued and quiet compared to the roaring heart of the furnace. Here the iron finds its final form, resting upon the stone slabs until it is ready to be shaped and used. I walk past the rows of cooling kera, the raw iron blooms that we labored so hard to produce. Each piece is unique, a jagged sculpture of metal and slag that holds the energy of the fire within its core. I can feel the warmth radiating from them, a gentle reminder of the power we harness every day. It is a slow process, this cooling a necessary pause in the cycle of creation. We must be patient and allow the metal to find its own pace as it transitions from a liquid state to a solid one. I pick up a small hammer and tap lightly on one of the blooms, listening to the tone it produces. A clear, ringing note tells me that the iron is pure and strong, while a dull thud would indicate a flaw or an impurity. It is a delicate task, requiring a keen ear and a steady hand, but it is one that I enjoy. There is a certain satisfaction in knowing that our work is of the highest quality and that it will serve our people well. I mark the best pieces with a bit of chalk so that the smiths will know which ones to use for the most important tools. The floor of the storage wing is made of packed earth and stone worn smooth by the feet of many workers over the years. It is a cool and grounding surface, a contrast to the hot and dusty environment of the smelting shed. I can hear the distant murmur of the water wheel, a constant presence that provides the power for our bellows and our hammers. It is the heartbeat of Irontown, a steady and reliable force that never tires and never falters. I find comfort in its cadence, a reminder that we are part of a larger system that works in harmony with the natural landscape. I move toward the back of the room where the charcoal is stored in large woven baskets. The smell of the charcoal is earthy and clean, a sharp contrast to the sulphurous fumes of the furnace. It is a vital ingredient in our work, the fuel that feeds the fire and allows us to transform the raw ore into precious metal. I run my fingers through the black shards, feeling their light and brittle texture. It is a humble material, but it is the key to our success, and we treat it with the respect it deserves. In the corner of the room, there is a small shrine dedicated to the spirits of the fire and the earth. A single oil lamp burns brightly, casting long shadows against the wooden walls. I bow my head for a moment, offering a silent prayer of thanks for the safety of our workers and the success of our labor. It is important to remember that we are not alone in our efforts, and that there are forces beyond our control that influence our lives. The spirits may be fickle, but they are also generous, and we must honor them in all that we do. I see a small mouse scurry across the floor, disappearing into a hole beneath the charcoal baskets. It is a common sight in the storage wing, a tiny inhabitant that shares our space and our resources. I smile at its boldness, a reminder that life persists even in the most unlikely of places. We are all connected in some way, and every creature has its role to play in the grand scheme of things. I leave a small piece of grain near the hole, a gesture of kindness toward a fellow traveler in the quiet hours. The light from the high slats in the roof is growing stronger as the morning progresses. I can see the dust motes dancing in the beams of light, a silent and beautiful display of the unseen forces at work. It is a peaceful moment, a time for reflection and for gratitude before the busy activities of the day take hold. I take a deep breath, filling my lungs with the fresh and cool atmosphere of the morning. It is a new beginning, a chance to do better and to achieve more than we did yesterday. I check the water levels in the cooling troughs, ensuring that they are full and ready for the next batch of iron. The water is clear and cold, sourced from the mountain streams that flow through our town. It is a precious resource, and we use it wisely, knowing that our survival depends upon its purity and its abundance. I splash some water on my face, feeling its refreshing chill wake me up and sharpen my senses. It is a simple pleasure, but one that I cherish in the quiet moments of my shift. I look out through the open doorway toward the forest that surrounds our town. The trees are still and silent, their leaves glistening with the morning dew. It is a place of mystery and of danger, but it is also a place of beauty and of wonder. We are at odds with the forest at times, but we also depend upon it for our wood and our water. It is a complex relationship, one that requires balance and understanding if we are to thrive in this environment. I see a group of workers gathering near the main gate, their voices a low murmur in the distance. They are preparing for the day's work, sharpening their tools and discussing their tasks. There is a sense of purpose and of community, among them a shared commitment to the success of our town. We are a strong and resilient people, and we will overcome any challenge that comes our way. I feel a sense of pride in being part of this group and in contributing to our collective effort. I return to the cooling racks and begin to sort. The iron blooms into different categories based on their quality and their size. It is a methodical process requiring focus and attention to detail. I use a small scale to weigh each piece, recording the results in a ledger with a steady hand. It is important to keep accurate records of our production so that we can track our progress and plan for the future. Every piece of iron counts, and every detail matters in the pursuit of excellence. I find a particularly large and pure bloom of iron, its surface smooth and gleaming in the morning light. It is a rare and valuable find, a testament to the skill of our smelters and the quality of our ore. I set it aside in a special place, knowing that it will be used for something extraordinary. Perhaps it will become a fine sword or a delicate tool, a work of art that will be passed down through the generations. It is a humbling thought to know that our work has the potential to outlast us and to inspire those who come after. I hear the sound of the first hammer strike echoing through the town, a signal that the smiths have begun their work. It is a rhythmic and steady tone, a pulse that drives the activity of our community. I follow the cadence with my own movements as I continue to sort and weigh the iron. There is a sense of harmony in the way that our different tasks interlock and support one another. We are like the parts of a great machine, each contributing its own unique function to the whole. I notice a small crack in one of the stone slabs, and I make a note to have it repaired as soon as possible. It is important to maintain our equipment and our workspace in top condition to ensure the safety and the efficiency of our labor. A small problem can quickly become a large one if it is ignored, and we cannot afford any setbacks in our production. I take pride in the care and the attention that I give to my environment, knowing that it reflects the quality of my work. I see a young apprentice approaching the storage wing, his eyes wide with curiosity and with wonder. He is new to Irontown, and he is eager to learn the secrets of our craft. I welcome him with a smile and a nod, inviting him to join me in my tasks. It is important to pass on our knowledge and our skills to the next generation to ensure the continuity of our traditions. I show him how to tap on the iron blooms and how to listen for the different tones, explaining the significance of each one. He listens intently, his face serious and focused as he tries to replicate my movements. It is a joy to see his enthusiasm and his dedication, a reminder of my own early days in the smelting shed. We were all apprentices once, and we all had to learn the hard way through experience and through effort. I encourage him to be patient and to persevere, knowing that he has the potential to become a master of his craft. We work together for a while, the silence of the storage wing broken only by the sound of our voices and our tools. I feel the warmth of the sun on my back as it rises higher in the sky, its light filling the room with a golden glow. The shadows are retreating into the corners, replaced by the brilliance of the day. It is a time of transition, a moment when the quiet of the morning gives way to the energy of the afternoon. I take a final look around, the storage wing making sure that everything is in order and that our work is complete. I feel a sense of accomplishment and of peace, knowing that I have done my best and that I have contributed to the success of our community. I hand the ledger to the apprentice, and I tell him to continue with the sorting, while I take a short break. He nods in understanding, his face beaming with pride at being given such a responsibility. I step out into the courtyard, feeling the fresh and cool atmosphere on my skin and the warmth of the sun on my face. The town is alive with activity, the sounds of labor and of community filling the atmosphere. It is a beautiful sight, a reminder of the strength and the resilience of our people. I walk toward the dining hall, where the smell of fresh bread and of hot soup is wafting through the air. It is a welcome scent, a reminder of the simple pleasures that sustain us in our work. I join my fellow workers at the long wooden tables, sharing stories and laughter, as we enjoy our meal. There is a sense of camaraderie and of friendship among us, a bond that is forged in the fire of our shared labor. We are a family in many ways, and we support one another in all that we do. The next phase of our labor awaits in the deeper recesses of the yard, where the raw materials are gathered and prepared. Beyond the warmth of the dining hall, the rear yard stretches toward the perimeter walls in the cool pre-dawn stillness. Here the raw materials of our industry lie in wait, stacked and sorted, with a precision that speaks of Lady Eboshi's order. The charcoal mounds rise like silent monuments to the timber, harvested from the slopes beyond our gates. I walk past the stacks of pine and oak, feeling the rough bark beneath my fingers as I move deeper into the yard. Each log has been selected for its density and its ability to hold a steady heat within the furnace. The charcoal burners have done their work well, transforming the forest's bounty into the lifeblood of our forge. I can smell the faint scent of wood smoke and damp earth, a fragrance that is both grounding and familiar. It is a reminder of the cycle of growth and of transformation that defines our lives here in the clearing. The iron sand is stored in large wooden bins, its dark and granular texture shimmering in the soft indigo light. This is the treasure of the Satoyama, the gift of the mountains that we have come to claim. I reach into one of the bins, letting the cool and weighted grains slip through my fingers. It is surprisingly dense, a concentration of the earth's own strength, waiting to be refined and shaped. We must ensure that the sand is free of impurities, and that it is ready for the next smelting cycle. I use a small wooden scoop to sift through the grains, looking for any pebbles or debris that might have been missed. It is a slow and methodical task, one that requires patience and a keen eye. The silence of the yard is a comfort, allowing me to focus on the texture and the weight of the material. Lady Eboshi has a vision for this place, a future where we are no longer beholden to the whims of the gods or the forest. She sees the potential in this iron and in the people who work it, a strength that can withstand any challenge. I feel a sense of pride in being a part of this vision, in contributing to the growth and the prosperity of our community. We are building something new, something that will endure for generations to come. The wooden flumes that carry water from the mountain stream are silent. Now, their flow reduced to a gentle trickle. The water is used to wash the iron, sand, and to cool the finished blooms, a vital part of our process. I follow the line of the flumes toward the edge of the yard, where the ground slopes down toward the river. The sound of the water is a soft and soothing murmur, a constant presence in the background of our labor. I stop to inspect the clay pits where the lining for the furnace is prepared. The clay is thick and gray, its surface smooth and cool to the touch. It must be mixed with straw and water to create a material that can withstand the intense heat of the smelting. I can see the footprints of the workers who were here earlier, their tracks, a testament to the effort and the dedication that goes into every aspect of our work. The clay is an essential part of the furnace, a barrier between the fire and the structure of the shed. It must be applied with care and with precision, ensuring that there are no cracks or gaps that could lead to a failure. I feel the texture of the clay between my thumb and forefinger, checking its consistency and its moisture. It is exactly as it should be, ready to be used in the next blast. I move toward the storage area for the fire bricks, which are stacked neatly against the wall. These bricks are made from a special blend of clay and sand fired at high temperatures to ensure their durability. They are the foundation of our furnace, the structure that holds the fire and the iron within. I run my hand over the surface of the bricks, feeling their rough and gritty texture. Each brick is a piece of a larger puzzle, a component of the machine that sustains us. We must treat them with respect and with care, knowing that they are the key to our success. The yard is a place of preparation, a staging ground for the work that is to come. It is a time of quiet reflection, a moment to appreciate the materials and the tools that we use in our daily lives. In the distance, the watchtower stands as a silent sentinel, its silhouette sharp against the lightening sky. The guards are on duty, their presence a reminder of the dangers that lurk beyond our walls. We must always be vigilant, always prepared to defend what we have built. The mountain gods are not pleased with our presence here, and they will do everything in their power to drive us away. But we are not afraid, for we have the strength of the iron and the unity of our people. We have carved a home out of the wilderness, and we will not give it up without a fight. I feel a sense of determination and of resolve as I look out over the yard toward the forest. The trees are dark and imposing, their branches reaching out like claws in the dimness. I remember the forest as it once was, before the walls were built and the trees were cleared. It was a place of mystery and of wonder, a landscape that was both beautiful and terrifying. But now it is a source of materials, a resource to be harvested and used for the benefit of our community. We have changed the landscape, and in doing so, we have changed ourselves. I turn back toward the center of the yard, where the charcoal burners are starting to stir. They are a hardy lot, accustomed to the heat and the smoke of their trade. They greet me with a nod and a smile, their faces smudged with soot and ash. We share a brief conversation about the quality of the timber and the progress of the burn. It is important to maintain these connections, to support one another in our shared labor. We are all part of the same system, all working toward the same goal. The charcoal is the fuel that powers our forge, and without it, our work would grind to a halt. I check the moisture of the charcoal in one of the stacks, ensuring that it is dry and ready for use. If the fuel is damp, it will not burn as hot or as clean, which can affect the quality of the iron. It is a small detail, but one that can make a significant difference in the final result. I am satisfied with what I find, and I move on toward the bellows floor. The transition from the yard to the shed is a gradual one, a shift from the open atmosphere to the enclosed space of the forge. The mechanical creak of the wooden gears is a familiar tone, a pulse that echoes through the building. The bellows are the lungs of the furnace, providing the oxygen that is needed to keep the fire burning. They are a marvel of engineering, a testament to the ingenuity and the skill of our craftsmen. I watch as the bellows move up and down their motion, steady and measured. We are preparing for the next blast, a process that will take several days and require the effort of every worker in the shed. It is a time of intense labor and of focused concentration, a moment when the true strength of our community is revealed. I feel a sense of anticipation and of excitement as we get ready to begin. The iron is waiting, and we are ready to meet the challenge. The atmosphere within the shed is starting to warm, as the first fires are lit in the furnace. The smell of burning charcoal and of hot metal is beginning to fill the room, a scent that is both familiar and invigorating. I take a deep breath, savoring the moment and the feeling of being a part of something great. This is our world, our life, and I would not have it any other way. I look around at my fellow workers, their faces illuminated by the glow of the fire. We are a community, a family bound together by our shared labor and our shared vision. We will continue to work, to build and to grow, ensuring that Irontown remains a beacon of hope and of strength in this changing landscape. The path leads us toward the great bellows, where the heart of Irontown prepares to beat once more. The wooden planks of the walkway groan under the pressure of my boots. I approach the platform where the great bellows stand, like silent giants waiting to breathe. Here the temperature is already climbing as the furnace below wakes from its short slumber. I see the women taking their positions on the long wooden beams. They move with a grace that belies the strain of their task. Their clothes are light to handle the heat, and their hair is tied back with simple cloth bands. There is a quiet dignity in their movements, a shared understanding that needs no words. They have found a home here, a place where their strength is valued and their pasts are not held against them. The grease on the gears smells of animal fat and machine oil, a pungent reminder of the mechanical life that sustains us. I run my hand along the smooth timber of the main lever. It feels warm to the touch, having absorbed the ambient warmth of the shed throughout the late hour. The wood is polished by years of contact with calloused palms and steady effort. The first woman steps onto the pedal, and the mechanism emits a deep, resonant moan. It is a low note that vibrates through the floorboards and into the soles of my feet. the bellows expand, drawing in the cool atmosphere from the vents above. Then comes the exhale, a focused blast of oxygen forced into the heart of the fire. The coals respond with a brilliant orange glow, casting long flickering shadows against the soot-stained walls. The cycle is established, a measured pace that will continue until the iron flows like liquid gold. I watch the way the chains clink against the iron hooks, a delicate chime amidst the larger noise. Each link is forged right here in this very room, a product of the very metal. It now helps to create. It is a beautiful loop of utility and creation. One of the workers passes me a wooden ladle filled with cool water. I take a sip, feeling the refreshing chill against the back of my throat. The water is drawn from the mountain stream, clear and crisp, a stark contrast to the dry heat of the forge. We exchange a silent nod of appreciation. There is a bond formed in these quiet hours, a fellowship of the furnace that transcends rank or origin. We are the makers, the ones who turn the raw earth into the tools of progress. The heat becomes more intense, pressing against my skin like a physical presence. It is a dry heat that parches the lips and makes the eyes sting slightly. Yet it is also a comforting embrace, a sign that the work is progressing as it should. I look down into the pit where the molten iron is starting to pool. It is a sea of fire, a churning mass of energy that holds the potential for 1,000 blades or 1,000 tools for building a better future. The choice of what to make is a weighted one, a responsibility that Lady Eboshi carries on her shoulders. We provide the material, and she provides the vision. Together we are carving a space for ourselves in a land that is often hostile. A fine layer of dust settles on the exterior of the tool rack. I wipe it away, with a rag revealing the bright steel underneath. Maintenance is a constant necessity in an environment like this, where the grit of the work can easily gum up the works. The murmur of the fire is like a living thing, a constant conversation between the fuel and the flame. It whispers of the mountains and the deep veins of ore that we have tapped. It tells stories of the earth's belly and the secrets it holds. I adjust the tension on one of the secondary ropes, feeling the resistance of the hemp. It is thick and rough, a sturdy material that can withstand the constant strain. Every component must be in perfect order for the blast to succeed. The atmosphere is now thick, with the smell of sulfur and scorched earth. It is the scent of industry, the aroma of a town that refuses to be overlooked. We breathe it in, and it becomes a part of us, a mark of our labor. I move toward the edge of the platform, looking out over the rest of the shed. The other stations are also coming to life, a series of small islands of activity in the dimness. The lanterns hang from the rafters like low-hanging stars, guiding our way. The floor beneath me hums with the energy of the machinery. It is a deep internal pulse, a heartbeat that belongs to Irontown itself. As long as this beat continues, we are safe, and we are strong. I check the pressure gauge, a simple device of brass and glass. The needle is moving steadily upward, indicating that the furnace is reaching the desired temperature. We are almost ready for the first pour. The anticipation is a palpable thing, a tightening in the chest, and a sharpening of the senses. We all know what is at stake, and we all know our roles. There is no room for error, only for the steady application of skill. I take a moment to look up at the high ceiling where the smoke curls and dances. It finds its way out through the gaps in the tiles, rising into the morning sky. It is our signal to the setting that we are here and we are working. The light from the furnace reflects off the polished face of a nearby anvil. It is a bright silver glint in the murk, a reminder of the sharpness and the strength we aim to achieve. Every strike of the hammer will be a testament to our resolve. The first light of dawn is still some time away, but the shed is already full of its own artificial day. We create our own light and our own warmth here in the shadow of the mountains. It is a sanctuary of fire and iron. I hear the low rumble of the ore carts being pushed along the tracks. They are laden with the raw material that will soon be transformed. The iron stone is cold and hard, but it will soon yield to the power of the forge. The iron chains that suspend the cooling vats are coated in a fine layer of soot. I brush against one, and the black powder clings to my sleeve, a badge of the trade. The metal is cold to the touch, but it will soon be filled with the searing heat of the molten flow. I walk past the tool racks where the tongs and the hammers are arranged in neat rows. Each implement has its place, a testament to the order that Lady Eboshi insists upon. In a place of such power and danger, discipline is our greatest ally. The wooden pillars that support the roof are massive trunks of cedar brought down from the higher slopes. They are charred and weathered, but they stand firm, holding up the weight of our industry. They have seen many blasts and many pours, and they will see many more. The moisture from the steam vents condenses on the cold stone walls, trickling down in tiny rivulets. It is a constant cycle of evaporation and cooling, a miniature weather system within the shed. The dampness provides a brief respite from the dry heat of the furnace. I stop to adjust the wick of a flickering lantern, the flame dancing in the slight breeze from the bellows. The light it casts is soft and yellow, a gentle glow that softens the hard edges of the machinery. It is a small comfort in the middle of the work. The scent of cedar smoke mingles with the metallic tang of the iron, creating a unique atmosphere. It is the smell of Irontown, a scent that I have come to associate with home and with purpose. It is a scent that stays with you long after the shift is over. The women on the bellows have reached a steady tempo, their breathing synchronized with the movement of the beams. It is a dance of strength and endurance, a testament to their resilience. They do not complain, for they know the value of the work they do. I see a small spider weaving its web in the corner of a window frame. It is a delicate thing, a contrast to the massive scale of the forge. It too is a builder, a worker, in its own right finding a place for itself in our universe. The shadows in the corners of the shed are deep and mysterious, hiding the tools and the materials that are not currently in use. They are like the secrets of the mountain, waiting to be discovered and brought into the light. We are the ones who venture into those shadows. The floor is covered in a layer of fine sand to catch any stray sparks or drops of metal. It crunches under my feet, a dry, gritty noise that is part of the ambient tone of the room. The sand is a safety measure, a simple but effective tool. I look at the large clock on the wall, its hands moving slowly toward the hour. Time seems to move differently in the shed, measured not by minutes and seconds, but by the progress of the melt. We are governed by the clock of the iron. The intensity of the light from the furnace is increasing, casting a deep red glow over everything. It is the color of the heart of the mountain, a vibrant, living hue. It transforms the shed into a cathedral of fire. I feel the vibration of the great water wheel outside as it turns the main shaft. It is a constant, low-frequency hum that provides the power for the larger machines. The mountain stream is our partner in this endeavor, providing the energy we need. The transition from the quiet hours to the active shift is almost complete. The shed is full of life and energy, a bustling hive of activity. We are ready for the day to begin, even as we work in the dimness. The path leads us toward the casting floor, where the molds are waiting to be filled. It is the final stage of the process, the moment when the liquid iron takes its final form. We move toward it with purpose and with care. The molds are prepared, and the iron is almost ready to flow. The casting floor lies before us, a landscape of hardened clay and expectant hollows. Each mold is a vessel for a future tool or a piece of the great engines that define our existence here. The earth beneath my boots is warm, holding the residual heat from the previous pour. It is a grounding sensation, a reminder of the cycles that sustain this town. I walk slowly between the rows of forms, checking for any cracks or imperfections in the dried mud. The silence here is different than the silence of the woods. It is a quiet of preparation and potential. To my left, the great crucible is a sun, held captive in a stone embrace. The liquid iron within is a churning sea of brilliant gold and orange casting, long flickering shadows across the wooden supports. This metal was once the bones of the mountain, and now it is a fluid thing, stripped of its stony shell. The intensity of the heat is a physical weight against my skin, a pressure that demands respect and caution. I can feel the pulse of the fire in my very bones, a deep, resonant thrum that never truly ceases. It is the lifeblood of Irontown, flowing through the veins of our industry. I pick up a long iron rod, its surface cool and smooth in my hands. It is a simple tool but essential for clearing the slag and ensuring the flow is unobstructed. The weight is familiar and comforting, a tangible connection to the labor of the shift. I move toward the edge of the furnace, where the molten metal is most active. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of scorched earth and the sharp tang of sulfur. It is a potent brew, one that fills the lungs and awakens the senses in the late hours. Above, the massive beams of the roof are lost in the dimness, their dark shapes barely visible against the flickering light. They have stood for years, supporting the weight of our ambitions and sheltering us from the elements. The wood is stained with soot and time, a record of every melt that has occurred within these walls. I see the faint traces of smoke curling around, the rafters like ghostly fingers reaching for the sky. It is a cathedral of industry built with sweat and determination under the watchful eye of Lady Eboshi. I pause to watch the women at the bellows, their forms silhouetted against the glow. Their movements are a steady measure, a constant push and pull that feeds the fire its necessary breath. There is a quiet dignity in their effort, a shared understanding of the importance of their role. They are the engine of this place, the source of the power that transforms the raw into the refined. I hear the soft exhale of the bellows, a sigh that echoes through the chamber with every stroke. It is the cadence of our survival. Near the edge of the casting pit, a bucket of water stands ready, its surface reflecting the dancing flames. A thin veil of steam rises from it, a gentle mist that softens the harsh edges of the metalwork. I dip a cloth into the water and wipe the dust from my brow, the cool moisture, a brief relief from the sweltering warmth. The contrast is sharp and refreshing, a small moment of clarity in the midst of the work. The water is clear and cold, brought down from the mountain, springs that feed our town. The iron is reaching its optimal state, the color shifting from a deep orange to a blinding white-hot glow. It is a beautiful and terrifying sight, a manifestation of the power we have harnessed. I can see the ripples on the face of the liquid metal like the surface of a sun-drenched lake. It is a moment of transition where the solid becomes fluid and the old becomes new. We are the catalysts for this change, the ones who guide the metal into its new existence. I check the alignment of the main channel, the stone path that will lead the iron to the molds. It is lined with a special clay that can withstand the extreme temperatures without crumbling. I smooth out a small bump with my gloved hand, ensuring the path is as straight and true as possible. Any obstruction could cause a spill, a dangerous and costly mistake that we cannot afford. The preparation is meticulous, for the iron is unforgiving and demands our full attention. A row of finished ingots sits in the corner, cooling in the dim light. They are dark and matte, their heat still radiating outward in invisible waves. I can feel the warmth as I pass by, a lingering reminder of the work that has already been accomplished. These will be shipped out or forged into the weapons and tools that protect us. Each one is a piece of our collective strength, a testament to our resilience in this harsh landscape. The murmur of the water wheel outside is a constant companion, a low vibration that grounds the shed. It is the sound of the mountain working with us, providing the energy to turn the great shafts. I think of the stream flowing over the rocks, cold and indifferent to our labors. Yet we have found a way to partner with it, to use its strength for our own ends. It is a delicate balance, a relationship built on necessity and respect. I notice a small pile of iron ore waiting to be added to the next melt. The stones are dark and unremarkable, hiding the treasure within their rugged forms. It is incredible to think that such ordinary objects can be transformed into something so vital. We see the potential in the earth, the hidden value that others might overlook. It is the vision of our leader and the skill of our hands that make this possible. The shadows on the walls are long and distorted, moving with the flicker of the furnace. They seem to tell stories, of the mountain and the forest, of the spirits that dwell in the deep places. We work in their presence, a small outpost of humanity, in a vast and mysterious setting. The dimness is not something to fear, but a space for reflection and focus. It is our sanctuary, a place where we are the masters of our own destiny. I adjust the vents in the roof, allowing some of the excess heat to escape into the night. The cool air from outside rushes in, a sharp contrast to the humid atmosphere of the shed. I can smell the damp earth and the scent of pine, a reminder of the world that exists beyond our walls. It is a brief connection to the wilderness, a moment of breathing before we return to the task at hand. The stars are likely bright above, though I cannot see them from here. My hands are covered in a fine layer of soot, the mark of my trade. It is a badge of honor, a sign that I have contributed to the work of the town. I wash them in the bucket, the water turning a cloudy gray as the grime is lifted. The skin underneath is calloused and strong, shaped by years of labor and dedication. We are made of the same stuff as our tools, tempered by fire and hardened by experience. I look at the clock again, the hands having moved another few inches toward the dawn. The shift is long, but it is rewarding, a steady progression toward a tangible goal. We do not measure our lives in hours, but in the amount of iron we produce and the quality of the work we do. The time seems to stretch out in the dimness, creating a sense of timelessness that is both peaceful and profound. The iron is finally ready, the surface shimmering with a liquid intensity that is almost hypnotic. I signal to the other workers my movements, slow and deliberate, to avoid any sudden startle. We move into position, our roles clearly defined, and our focus absolute. The moment of the pour is approaching the culmination of all our efforts during these quiet hours. There is a sense of anticipation in the room, a collective holding of breath. I pick up the long tongs, their iron jaws ready to grip the heavy crucible. The metal is hot, but the wooden handles are insulated, protecting my hands from the searing heat. We work together to tilt the vessel, our movements synchronized and smooth. It is a delicate operation requiring strength and precision in equal measure. The liquid iron begins to spill over the lip, a golden stream that illuminates the entire shed. As the iron flows into the channel, it makes a soft hissing noise like the sound of a distant waterfall. The light is intense, casting a brilliant glow that reaches every corner of the chamber. I can feel the heat radiating from the stream, a powerful force that commands our full attention. We guide it with our tools, ensuring it fills each mold evenly and without splashing. It is a beautiful sight, the liquid sun finding its new home in the earth. The first mold is filled, the metal settling into the hollow with a satisfying weight. We move to the next one, our pace steady and unhurried as we continue the process. The shed is filled with the light of the pour, a vibrant energy that dispels the remaining shadows. It is the peak of our activity, the moment when all the preparation and labor come together in a single flowing motion. We are the masters of the iron, the ones who give it form and purpose. The stream of metal continues its journey, filling the rows of molds with a glowing promise. The atmosphere is charged with the energy of the melt, a sense of accomplishment that fills the room. We watch as the iron begins to cool, the brilliant white fading to a deep, resonant red. It is the beginning of the end of the shift, the final stage of the night's work, as we prepare to transition toward the next phase of the casting process. The crimson glow of the cooling ingots casts long, flickering silhouettes against the timber walls. We stand back for a moment, allowing the intense warmth to recede as the metal loses its liquid brilliance. The scent of scorched sand and wood smoke persists in the rafters, mingling with the salt spray from the nearby lake. My hands, still vibrating from the tension of the tongs, find rest upon the stone ledge of the quenching trough. The water inside is murky, reflecting the dying embers of the forge like a captive galaxy. I watch a single bubble rise to the surface, breaking the tension with a tiny wet pop. There is a specific crackle that comes from cooling iron, a series of minute snaps as the internal structure stabilizes. It is the language of the forge, telling us that the pour was successful and the metal is strong. We listen to this metallic chatter in silence, our breathing finally finding a slower, more natural measure. The bellows have gone quiet for now, the great wooden lungs of Irontown resting after their long exertion. Without their constant groan, the environment feels strangely empty, as if the building itself has held its breath. I can hear the distant lap of water against the wooden piers outside, a reminder of the world beyond these walls. One of the women moves to the corner, her footsteps soft on the packed earth floor. She reaches for a broom made of stiff mountain grasses, beginning the task of sweeping away the stray charcoal dust. The dry whisper of the bristles provides a delicate counterpoint to the cooling metal's song. We have processed over 400 pounds of ore during this single session. Each ingot represents hours of treading the bellows and feeding the flames with precise amounts of fuel. It is a labor of endurance, a testament to the strength Lady Eboshi has fostered within these fortress walls. I pick up a small iron rod, using it to gently tap the side of a cooling mold. The tone it produces is clear and resonant, indicating no hidden cracks or pockets of trapped gas. Satisfied, I move to the next one, repeating the test with a methodical, practiced grace. The heat in the room is no longer oppressive, but a comfortable, lingering warmth, that wards off the morning chill. It seeps into my bones, easing the aches that come from standing on the hard ground for half the evening. I feel a sense of quiet pride in the uniformity of our work. Outside the high windows, the sky is transitioning from a deep obsidian to a bruised charcoal grey. The stars are beginning to fade, their light swallowed by the approaching dawn that remains hidden behind the jagged mountain peaks. It is the hour when the forest spirits are said to retreat into the deepest shadows. We do not speak of the gods here, focusing instead on the tangible reality of iron and fire. Our safety is built on stone and sharp projectiles, not on the whims of the great forest spirit. Yet, in this quiet interval, one cannot help but feel the presence of the wild woods pressing against our borders. I reach for a leather water skin, the cool liquid a welcome relief to my parched throat. It tastes of the mountain spring, sharp and clean, cutting through the metallic tang that occupies the back of my mouth. I offer it to my companion, who accepts it with a tired, appreciative nod. We begin the process of clearing the slag from the edges of the primary channel. It has hardened into a brittle, glass-like substance that shatters easily under the strike of a hammer. We collect the fragments in woven baskets to be hauled away and used for leveling the paths around the settlement. Each movement is slow, a conservation of energy as the fatigue of the shift starts to manifest in our limbs. There is no rush, for the metal must reach a certain temperature before it can be safely handled. We work with the patience of those who know the temperament of the furnace. In the corner, the small shrine to the hearth deities is illuminated by a single, low-burning candle. Its flame is steady, undisturbed by the draughts that occasionally whistle through the gaps in the siding. We offer a silent thought of gratitude for a pour that went without injury or mishap. The iron has now reached a dull, cherry-red hue, the shimmering heat waves above it becoming less frantic. I use a pair of long-handled pliers to adjust the position of a cooling tray, ensuring it sits level on the stone bench. The metal feels substantial, a concentrated weight that speaks of its future utility. I think of the tools this iron will become, the blades and the cooking pots that sustain our community. Every piece we forge is a brick in the wall that keeps the uncertainty of the wilderness at bay. It is a cycle of creation that defines our existence here on the edge of the known world. My boots crunch on a stray bit of calcined lime, the noise loud in the relative stillness of the shed. I look up at the rafters, where the soot of 1,000 fires has painted the wood a permanent matte black. It is a record of our industry, a history written in carbon and sweat. A light mist has started to drift in through the open vents, cooling the upper reaches of the chamber. It smells of damp earth and crushed pine needles, a scent that belongs to the world of the trees. For a brief moment, the two environments overlap, the industrial and the primordial meeting in the mid-light. We prepare the quenching vats for the final stage, adding fresh water from the cistern. The surface of the water is perfectly still, acting as a dark mirror for the structural beams above. I prepare myself for the sudden hiss and clouds of steam that will soon fill the workspace. The tools must be cleaned now, before the first sliver of the sun touches the horizon. I pick up a coarse, oil-soaked rag, the fabric rough and familiar against my calloused palms, and begin the slow, methodical process of wiping down the iron tongs. Each tool has its own particular weight, its own storied history of fire and force, earned through countless hours of patient, focused labor. The oil creates a protective layer, shielding the metal from the dampness that creeps in with the morning fog, ensuring they remain ready for the hands that will take them up next. I move with a measured pace, feeling the texture of the steel and the way the light catches the fine sheen of the lubricant. There is a quiet satisfaction in this maintenance, a closing of the circle that began when the first coal was lit many hours ago. The water in the quenching vats is still now a silent, dark pool that has swallowed the intense heat of 100 cooling ingots. I can see the reflection of the overhead beams, dark and sturdy, holding up the weight of our industry against the constant pressure of the mountain. It is a quiet moment, a necessary reprieve before the transition of the guard takes place, and the room is filled once more with the noise of production. The surface of the water is undisturbed, save for a single slow ripple caused by a drop of condensation falling from the rafters. I watch the circle expand and fade, a brief interruption in the perfect mirror of the vat. In the corner, the cooling iron pieces give off a faint metallic scent, a reminder of the raw energy we have harnessed during the course of this evening. They are no longer glowing with the fierce intensity of the forge, but a deep internal warmth remains within them, radiating outward in gentle waves. I run a finger near the edge of one, feeling the persistent heat that remains even in the absence of the roaring flames. These blocks of metal represent our security, our trade, and the continued survival of Irontown in a landscape that is often unforgiving. They sit in neat rows, a harvest of mineral and sweat, waiting for the carts that will carry them to the smithy. We move through the workspace with a deliberate slowness, our bodies fully accustomed to the pace of the smelting shed. There is a specific measure to our movements, a coordination born of shared effort and mutual understanding, developed over many months of working side by side. No words are necessary between us now, for the work itself dictates the tempo of our final tasks as we prepare to depart. I watch my companion move toward the far wall, his silhouette a dark shape against the fading glow of the embers. We are like shadows ourselves, moving through a landscape of stone and iron, bound by the requirements of our shared trade. I look toward the high, narrow windows, where the deep indigo of the sky is starting to lose its depth and clarity. The stars are fading, one by one, retreating before the slow approach of the coming day as the sun prepares to crest the ridge. It is the time when the forest is most silent, as if the trees themselves are holding their breath in anticipation of the first light. The transition is subtle, a gradual shift from the absolute black of the late hour to a soft charcoal grey. I feel the change in the atmosphere, a slight lifting of the weighted pressure that accompanies the deepest part of the shift. Lady Eboshi's vision is etched into every stone and beam of this place, a fortress of iron and human will standing against the wild. We are the pulse of this settlement, the ones who transform the bones of the earth into the tools of our own protection and progress. Every ingot we produce is a testament to our defiance, a physical manifestation of our desire to build something lasting in this storied valley. I think of the hand cannons being assembled in the workshops, and the blades that will soon be sharpened on the grinding stones. Our labor provides the foundation for everything else, a responsibility that we carry with a quiet, uncomplaining pride. The bellows sit idle now, their great leather lungs resting after a night of constant demanding exertion. They look like sleeping giants in the dimness, their wooden frames creaking softly as the building cools and the tension of the day begins to ebb. I remember the effort it took to keep them moving, the strain on our muscles that has now turned into a dull, satisfying ache in our shoulders. They are silent for the moment, but they will soon be brought back to life, breathing fire into the heart of the furnace once again. I run a hand over the smooth wood of the handle, feeling the grain that has been polished by the grip of 1,000 workers. I take a small broom made of stiff, bundled straw and begin to sweep the charcoal dust from the stone floor. The scrape of the bristles against the granite is the only noise in the room, a lonely cadence that marks the official end of our labor. The dust is fine and black, a residue of the fires that have fueled our progress since the sun first went down. I gather it into small piles, my movements steady and rhythmic, clearing the way for the next shift to begin their work. The act of cleaning is a ritual of respect, a way of honoring the space that has provided us with our livelihood. The small shrine near the entrance remains lit, the candle flame a tiny, unwavering point of yellow in the growing grey light. It is a humble offering, a plea for protection and favor in a land where the spirits are often angry and their intentions are unclear. We respect the deities of the hearth, for they are the ones who allow us to master the flame and shape the metal to our will. I pause for a moment before the altar, offering a silent thought of gratitude for a shift that passed without injury or major mishap. The scent of incense hangs faintly in the air, a sweet floral note that cuts through the metallic tang of the shed. I hang my leather apron on its designated wooden hook, the material stiff and weighted with the sweat and soot of the shift. It feels significantly lighter now that the work is done, a second skin that I am finally able to shed as I prepare to return to my quarters. My shoulders drop a fraction, the physical manifestation of the mental release that comes with a job well planned and successfully executed. The hook is worn smooth from years of use, a small detail that speaks to the continuity of our labor in this place. I smooth the leather with my palm, ensuring it hangs straight and ready for the next time I must step before the fire. Outside the vents, the first birds are starting to call, their songs sharp and clear against the backdrop of the rustling cedar leaves. They do not care for our iron or our walls, living in a reality that is entirely separate from the industry of our town. Yet, their presence is a comfort, a sign that the natural order continues to turn despite our persistent intrusions into the wild. I listen to the trill of a mountain finch, a delicate sound that seems out of place in this environment of stone and metal. It is a reminder that there is a world beyond the forge, a world that is waking up just as we are preparing to sleep. I wash my hands in a basin of cold, clear water, the sudden chill shocking my system back into a state of temporary alertness. The soot swirls in the basin, forming dark, intricate clouds that eventually disappear as I tip the water out into the drainage channel. My skin is stained, a permanent mark of my trade that no amount of vigorous scrubbing will ever fully erase from my palms. I feel the water evaporate from my skin, the cooling sensation a welcome relief after the hours of intense heat. It is a simple act of purification, a way of leaving the work behind and preparing for the rest that follows. The next shift will be arriving soon, their voices already audible in the distance as they make their way up the winding stone path. They will bring fresh energy and a new focus, taking up the tools we have so carefully cleaned and prepared for their use. The cycle of the forge never truly stops. It only changes hands as the hours turn and the sun moves across the sky. I can hear the clink of their own gear and the low murmur of their conversation, a sound that signals the end of our solitude. We have held the fort through the dark, and now we pass the responsibility to those who will hold it through the day. I take a final look at the furnace, its massive iron door closed tight to preserve the remaining embers for the next firing. It will be many hours before the internal brickwork is cold enough to be cleaned thoroughly, a task that will fall to another worker. For now it is enough that the fire is contained, a sleeping beast that we have successfully managed through the long hours of the night. The furnace seems to hum with a residual energy, a low vibration that I can feel in the soles of my boots. It is the heart of Irontown, a source of both our power and our constant struggle. The mist is thickening outside the vents, swirling in white, ethereal ribbons that dance in the early morning atmosphere before being burned away. It carries the sharp scent of cedar and wet moss, a reminder of the sprawling primeval wilderness that surrounds our small enclave. We are an island of industry in a sea of green, a fragile balance that we maintain with every pore of molten metal. The mist drifts into the upper reaches of the shed, cooling the soot-stained rafters and softening the harsh lines of the machinery. I watch it move with a sense of wonder, a brief moment of beauty in a place of hard labor. I pick up my small bundle of personal belongings, ready to make my slow way to the sleeping quarters located near the lower walls. The walk will be short, but my legs feel weighted, every step a conscious effort of will as the adrenaline of the shift fades. The transition from the intense heat of the shed to the cool, damp air of the morning is a sensory shift that marks the boundary of my day. I step over the threshold, feeling the soft breeze on my face, a contrast to the stagnant warmth I have inhabited for so long. The world is grey and quiet, a landscape of soft edges and muted tones. The sky is now a pale, luminous grey, the growing light revealing the intricate and formidable details of the town's fortifications. I can see the high watchtowers and the sharpened palisades, their silhouettes sharp and black against the brightening horizon of the east. We have survived another evening, protected by our walls and the strength of the iron we forge within them against the spirits of the wood. The town is starting to stir, the first wisps of smoke rising from the domestic chimneys as the morning meals are prepared. It is a scene of quiet order, a testament to the community we have built here together. The iron ingots are neatly stacked near the loading dock, a solid harvest of metal that will soon be transformed into something more useful. They represent our security, our primary means of trade, and the continued existence of our people in a landscape that remains hostile. I feel a quiet, internal pride in their presence, a sense of accomplishment that transcends the physical exhaustion of the late hour. Each block is a piece of the future, a contribution to the growth and stability of Irontown that we have carved out of the earth. They sit in the dim light, cold and grey, waiting for the day's business to begin. I pass the companion who worked beside me throughout the shift, offering a silent, respectful nod as we part ways for the morning. We have shared the heat, the smoke, and the heavy silence of the night, a bond formed in the crucible of the smelting shed. There is a deep, unspoken respect between those who work these hours, a silent recognition of the burden we carry while others sleep. We do not need to speak of the fatigue or the strain, for it is written in the set of our shoulders and the soot on our faces. We are the keepers of the fire, the ones who ensure the town never grows cold. As I step out into the open courtyard, the first sliver of the sun finally breaks over the jagged mountain ridge to the east. It touches the iron roofs of Irontown, turning them into brilliant sheets of reflected gold that dazzle the eyes after the long hours of dimness. The new shift enters the smelting shed, their boots echoing on the stone, and the cycle of the forge continues into the light of the morning. I turn my back on the heat and the noise, walking toward the quiet of my bed as the world wakes up around me. The iron is poured, the tools are cleaned, and the town is safe for another day. Thank you for spending this evening with me. Until next time on Canon and Calm, sleep well.